Hey guys! So, today we are going to talk about the most taboo thing that you can possibly do in a place of work. So let's get into it. So, it wasn't all that long ago. I was working for another company, and this very gracious company of mine had decided to give out some bonuses to all of the employees, and everybody was very excited. Because it was actually honestly, it was a very generous gesture. I truly appreciated it. I know that my coworkers felt very much the same way. And in the email we got, where it said how much we were going to get as a bonus, it said that this was confidential information, or that it should be confidential information between myself and my coworkers, or rather everybody, and the people who actually are our boss, basically. And you see, that didn't really work out so well. I'm not going to point any fingers, but some person out there may not think so much about money and how the importance and the semantics of how much you make and how much that means to certain people. So without thinking so much, some unknown person may have just said, oh cool, I made this amount from this bonus. And when those words left that person's mouth, something happened. All of a sudden, several other people shared how much they had made, or how much bonus they had gotten. And we realized, to our shock and, well, to our surprise, let's call it that people had gotten different amounts. Now, what could possibly motivate somebody to get more or less money as a bonus? I mean, we were still very happy, but it sparked an interesting conversation, and we started talking back and forth, like, what could this number be tied into? Could it be amount of years? Well, maybe. Could it be about social status? Like, depending on your right, or like your title? Could it have been about how many kids you have? Are you married? Or what factors in when they put this number? Because when you give out a salary or a bonus or something like that, and the amount varies, you have to base that number on something, right? And what very quickly started happening was that we started talking about what we actually made. Because that's a very taboo thing to talk about. You don't talk to your coworkers about how much money you make. I don't know if it's different in your where you come from, but here in Sweden, that is like the most taboo thing you can talk about. You don't talk about ever how much you make. Most people never know how much their coworkers make, ever. It's like I don't know if it's a dirty secret, whatever, but it's actually funny, because when these numbers started coming out into circulation, because when that rule was broken, when we finally talked about how much money each person made, something started happening. And this is interesting. What started happening was that people started seeing that, oh, one person made a little bit more than another person, even though we do the same job, etc., etc. And what's interesting is that people started making up various reasons as to, depending on where on the fence they sat, if they were making more than somebody else, they justified why they were making more, and the people who made less started kind of grudgingly complain a little bit about, okay, so I'm making less than this other person here, and I have more years of experience, or I'm better, I close more stories, I fix more bugs. Like, everybody started making up different reasons as to why they had been slighted by the number that they were given as a salary. And whoever this person who made this fatal mistake of not really thinking about so much how this would have impacted a place of work, started noticing something. This was nothing, like, it didn't really, the fact that everybody knew what everybody else was making really started changing. Some people didn't change at all, but some people made it started creating a little bit of, not friction between the coworkers, but a bit of a grudge against the company and the managers and basically the company. It was an interesting thing to be a part of. I'm not there today. Like, I'm at another job now where everybody's salary is still a secret, but we got the exact same information. Well, not the exact same situation. We got a few. Let's just say I signed some papers not that long ago, where it was also made very clear to me by my manager that this is private information between you and the company. You are not to share this with anybody else. Now, legally, they can't, of course, force me not to say anything to my coworkers. And I wouldn't. Because although I can find it a little bit strange, why whatever I make should have any type of impact on what somebody else what somebody else makes. It seems to be very important to some people. Very, very important. So, to leave you with something, this is really not a video where I'm trying to teach or trying to tell you this or that about anything. But the thought I had about all of this was that maybe this secrecy around salaries has a almost embarrassing reason to be useful. Or maybe not embarrassing, maybe that's the wrong word. Maybe it's necessary. Because although I've worked with some amazing people who, to them it was nothing. Like, they didn't matter to them. There was a lot of insecure people who felt very bad when they realized that they were making less than somebody else or more, and almost all of them in the scenario where they weren't happy were making less than somebody else. Their lot in life was worse than somebody else's lot in life. And from a management perspective, I suppose that this is the way you want it to be. You want people to not think so much about what you're paying each individual, because as soon as you put a number on somebody's time, because you have to, at the end of the day, we have to, I hope we can all agree, the amount of money that you are being paid by the company is the biggest receipt you have as to how much that company values you. Salary is the number that your time is worth to the company. So if your time is worth less than somebody else's time, the question is, can you handle that? Food for thought. All I can say is that it was very interesting to see how quickly people's personalities either changed and their attitude towards the company and their coworkers changed when they learned how much they were making in comparison to all their other coworkers. And it was also very inspiring and at least very pleasant for me to see how many people didn't give a shit that they made less than somebody else. They were just happy to be doing what they love. Have a great day.